and Plug fans can rest easy knowing there's still one more opportunity to try and close out this series as they are going to win their map pick looking at Haven. Dan, as well, I know you swapped over predictions. You kind of regretted it to start off the first map, but there's still one more opportunity to try and be right here.
I feel like I always get called out for my predictions, and you know what? I'm usually right. So I think we're in the right path to make it to the end for Trust and Plug. I was a little concerned if they were going to change the composition in Haven. They kept it the same. They look really good. They win both pistols, and they're able to close it out with a Sacred that was going insane. Everything is going right for my prediction that I changed like 7 times.
After it went extremely wrong at first, but you know, we'll get into that later. But this is definitely a way better showing coming out from Trust and Plug. After that first map and how things had swapped up so drastically, I was a little bit worried, Roy, when I was looking at this team that we had praised for this firepower, but being able to see that light in them as we head into the second map was so needed.
And I think the crazy part is I don't even think we've seen them hit their final form with this double duelist, right? Because, I mean, the other duelist wasn't really popping off, not to put him on blast, but German was having a bit of a quiet series, right? And the fact that they're able to pull it out in such a, I mean, it's a pretty convincing win. I don't think there's any way to deny that. So the fact that they are doing that with Sacred popping off and their double duelists haven't really fully activated kind of bodes well going into this third map.
Especially up against a YFP that was looking relatively clean in that very first map of the series, and one that definitely doesn't seem to be faring too well across the board on Haven here. But when I got to see a couple of these peaks coming out from Trust and Plug and just how they are able to execute on these site stand, I feel like it was a Trust and Plug that if they can carry this momentum forward, well, there's a lot to be said there.
I think it's still complicated though. I know it's a 13-7 that they just got against YFP, one of the better teams that we have, but it was them getting both of the pistols, and things got really messy. The casters were mentioning it right at the beginning. The economy and the buys that both of the teams were making were a little bit questionable for a few of them. So it was a very interesting back and forth that ends up in that 7.5. And if it wasn't because Sacred was popping off, we would have seen, I feel like, a very different score. YFP were trying to come back on that second half, but it was a little too late. So yeah, for Trust and Plug, this is good. This is what we wanted. But can you do the same if Sacred is not going 22-9 on the Omen? Can you do the same if you're not winning both pistols? That is what I want to know for the last map.
The Omen diff truly coming out from Sacred, someone that we haven't necessarily gotten to talk about at all in this series, frankly, because a lot of where our attention has been geared here, Roy, has been this double duelist. Chaotic and Jerwin, they switched going into this. I mean, okay performances, but yeah, really being able to see the supporting cast really not just support, but step up was huge.
Yeah, I think Sacred is a very underrated controller player, to be honest. I think from, speaking to some of his teammates and some of his former teammates, they've all really praised the fact that he's a very vocal player. He controls a lot of the micro and kind of the late rounding that's happening within this team. So the fact that he's able to do that on a very high octane gameplay team, and the fact that he's putting up these numbers is a massive statement to his value as a teammate.
I mean, let's pull up those numbers, talk a little bit more about Sacred, make sure that we can truly give him the flowers and the props that he deserves. Because, Dan, when we're looking at such a convincing victory on that second map, I'm definitely more eyes on Sacred now going into the third one to be able to hopefully replicate even just a bit of that to try and keep this team alive.
Yeah, I mean, the 3.4 KDA already tells you the story of what he was doing. He was closing out the round. It was a 1v2. It was a 3K that he gets the round after. Then he gets an ace. He was doing everything, and it's really what kept the team alive on the second map. Because 7-5, it was so close between the two, and there were better chances, it seems like, for YFP to be able to make that comeback right when it was 9-7. So Sacred definitely saved them and puts them in the spot where they're still not eliminated. They have one more map to go.
And it wasn't even just the fact that he had a lot of stats. It's the fact that he had so many important moments, like the 1v2 clutch that he had on the B site. There's just so many rounds, the ace as well, and just so many impact kills, holding smokes, covering his teammates, trading out extremely well. He seemed to have provided value on almost all fronts. And I mean, he's 22-9, yes, but it's all very valuable kills as well.
Which is super important. That's a great call out there. So being able to see that impact that he's had within this game as Trust and Plug tries to fight to stay alive going into the third map is absolutely humongous. So let's start talking about those implications a little bit more. Because again, YFP playoffs. I know we said it 1.5 million times, but for those coming in, got to understand YFP are trying to get a playoff spot and they're not dead if they lose this series yet. Whereas Trust and Plug, very different implications on the other side there. And all comes down to one more map. Looking at Lotus. this map too, for these different teams, we get to see from the composition side, Dan, that Lotus is something that we can maybe see this double duelist coming out from for Trust and Plug if they try to go that way, but they'll have to contend with a Yoru from Penny on the other side.
I don't know what to think about it because we already saw that change of the double duelist on that map split that we talked about. So for this map of Lotus, I could also see a change if that's something that they're not willing to opt for anymore. Last time that we saw it was German on the Raze and Chaotic on the ISO. It's one that we don't really see very often, and two players that we haven't really seen completely online as we've seen for other matches today. As we talked about, has been a little bit more reliant on Sacred to close out and had such a big impact on the second map. So I want to see if they're going to keep this competition. Actually, out of all the maps where we saw this double duelist, this is the one where I would feel like, okay, if you make a change, I'm okay with it.
It gets the Dan Dryad seal of approval if we get a composition change here.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, if we are seeing a switch up here from this Trust and Plug that is still within this rebuilding phase, what do we kind of think that it could be? Because we saw Jerwin on that Senti roll in that very first map, and it was something that left a little to be desired there. And of course, this double duelist can work, Dan, but it was a little last map.
Actually, I know I'm playing both sides.
Whoa, she's a double agent shamelessly.
On Lotus, like maybe the split was the practice on Vice to now play Vice and Lotus, which is good. You know, you see.
Are we tinfoil hat theories?
She's a conspiracy theorist now. That's crazy.
Oh no. Oh my. All right, let's send the agent select. Let's see if this rabbit hole that Dan is trying to go down is. She's coping about the switch predictions over here. The only one to go up against the grain here. Have to see if it pay off. I mean, hey, it would be crazy, but no, it ain't happening, Dan. Sorry.
Okay, so we're gonna continue to see the double duelist. Jerwin still gonna be playing this ISO, but actually no. Once again, they're gonna swap it up. So Jerwin is playing the Raze and Chaotic was playing the ISO. So we're seeing the switch again. I wonder. Yep. What is the reasoning behind it? But everything else remains the same.
Actually, they've also swapped their initiator as well. Yeah, so they swapped over from the Sova to the Tejo. That actually makes complete sense, to be honest. I already feel like they have enough to challenge the A control, but now they need something that can deal with the Sentinel utility. So they're swapping over to the Sova. That kind of gives them that extra layer of breaking gadgets, as well as a little bit more information whenever they need it. And then hopefully they have enough utility among ISO and Race to accomplish whatever they need on the map.
Going up against a deadly duo of Cellar and Physic on the other side with this Breach and the Tejo. But I'm excited to get into this third map. Again, Trust and Plug playing to not get eliminated. Let's see if these changes are enough for them as we head into our final map here of Lotus and back over to your casters, Uber and Wyatt.
Thank you very much. Yes, off to Lotus here, a decider in this series. A map that we've not seen a ton of from both of these teams. They've both only played it once. And if you remember back, it wasn't too long ago that we saw that Core and Trust and Plug series. Lotus didn't fare so well for Trust and Plug. They were, in fairness, like flirting with the Tejo instead of the Sova on the map at the time. So definitely a bit more of a different look. And this is much more similar to the comp from Trust and Plug that we saw just now, right, on Haven, which Wyatt looked really good.
Yeah, it did. They were looking nice with the double duelist. That's been a narrative that the desk have been talking about since before the game even started. Yeah, with these comps, we basically have the G2 T1 Grand Finals cosplay, almost. if Thief were playing a Viper, it would be 1-to-1, but it is interesting that this Plug team, they had a similar comp to T1, and now they've leaned into it fully by bringing in the Sova instead of that Tejo.
Cover going
Your pistol folks. YFP going to be on the attacking side, and Plug have pretty heavily sacked out this B side of the map. Plenty of pings on that recon that was headed over towards Mound. That is going to spot at least Physic. This gives YSP every reason to maybe just try and go elsewhere. But crossing now, dangerous. Chaotic got to be spotted on that push out, and German taken down. So both Trust and Plug duelists try and catch YFP mid-step and are heavily punished.
The Plug players are trying to do a lot in this round, and it's all been punished. Mike, the latest on the foray to make something happen and come up with absolutely nothing.
Okay. Sacred, at least the one that stood up very tall for this team for this entire series so far, is going to have to do the unthinkable yet again.
It's becoming somewhat thinkable at this point. It's doing a lot of damage.
Physic down to 28 as a result of that encounter with Sacred. And they've seen the Omen cross. Finally, he's brought to heal. Jake's able to catch him with a headshot as he gets across to the 8 sites. And so a great start for YFP, but really it was Trust in Plug pushing up, taking some risks that did not pan out.
At all. I'm not super mad at Teague trying to then push up later at Baby Door. He feels like, well, everyone else died. I need to be the hero now, and does go down as well. But it's really just that 2 versus 2 fight being lost where the players from Plug wanted to push out of B. Stellar collects those kills. And that's why you saw him int later with the flash through door to fight Sacred, because he's already got 2 orbs. Like, oh, I might as well try to get a 3rd. And he does by dying, but Listen, wants to get to that rolling thunder ASAP.
And again, like this play pattern from Trust in Plug is something that we're going to see from them a fair bit on this defense side, because they are playing the double duelists that can make defending on big maps like this just a little uncomfortable. And look for the track plays all the time. Try and set up here. I mean, there's nothing that really, allows you to combine with this raise. There's no like C's paint shell combo to really work with. But fast pops here to catch players off timings can be really effective. And again, Chaotic and Gerwin are moving together. Those two seem joined at the hip these last couple of rounds.
And Gerwin with an opportunity. Nope, Penny gets the info, teleports away. The C hit is on. Mike should be routed by this util.
Okay. Somehow I had to dodge so many of those bullets coming his way. Yeah, Physic spraying through. Mike down to half, and here comes that undercut. It's going to force Physic off the angle. It's dangerous against pistols to face down that ability. Stellar Flash is hoping to slow this push out of Waterfall, but no. Plug now all over the site. This is where it gets a little bit dodgy, a little bit dicey. Chaotic, low, able to find that swing and get rid of Thief, but they are alone. 51 points of health to deal with the remainder of YFP, and a post plant is just a little too tall and order.
Penny happy to collect the last Stellar. With some of those kills still getting closer to that rolling thunder, does require quite a few orbs, obviously, but just over halfway there as Plug get onto the full buy. Got a couple players who are susceptible to the one shot of the Outlaw, so something to keep your eyes on.
Okay, so again, now guns in the hands of Chaotic and Gerwin. They are up against the barrier here. Paint shells could obviously put Chaotic in a position to play off of an undercut. Now that's the plan. Get forward, make a trap play happen. Chaotic doesn't look to take the fight, but this early util dump has allowed for control here. And they're going for more of it. Penny just lingers a little bit too long there over towards that A side. It's on C yet again. Mike definitely is going to be forced back by this as Jake's able to TP onto the side, but he's pinned out. And Cypher's able to play deep in the site.
Good anchoring. Stellar just counter spam through with the Bulldog, trying to stabilize this round as the door is popped through.
There it is. Nice undercut follow-up yet again. I've got to say, just the play off the ISO util, limited as it can be, has been pretty gainful so far for Trust in Plug, Wyatt. They push up over towards Rubble. Expect to see that happen in a few different ways this half.
I feel like the undercut can be pretty underrated at times, honestly. It's a pretty strong ability. We will see how that pans out with the changes that are coming to it soon, but I actually kind of like where it was at prior, to be honest, but we shall see. Jake getting caught there was pretty unfortunate with the ping. Plug playing very fast, flooding together. That is the win con for this comp on defense.
Okay, this time, YFP have a bit more of a foothold here, but Kenny just tries to emerge with a gate crash there, and German is ready to take them down. YFP might want to reconsider trying to find Plug in this part of the map so doggedly.
Jake is going to have a rude awakening when the star cover goes away. All right, he's going to play a little bit safer for a moment.
He's still cooked. He doesn't even have he doesn't have
man is cooked no matter what, but
flawless here for Trust in Plug. Again, it's pretty scary. Like the paint shells that when you're vulnerable, I kind of mentioned at the start of the game, like, oh, well, there's not much to play off the paint shells with. There's no C's. I mean, frankly, hitting with the undercut before that comes in is almost as good. Definitely does just as much to control that rubble space. And of course, the Omen's TPing up on top of that. It's a pretty standard look, but how do you break this if you're YFP, if you even want to bother?
What really might take Trust and Plug over the top and allow them to win this series is Gerwin, who's usually their star player, coming to life It has been the rare quiet series from him, but starting off 4-2 is good to see. One away from the kill contract as well as the site is breached.
Penny out of the picture here. YFP do have numbers, of course, and they've got to put these stingers to good use. Here comes that duelist duel again. It's the Siamese twins of Gerwin and Chaotic. Get into the site. Stella knows he's extremely disadvantaged in a situation like this. I'm hoping to try and get the drop on his assailant. It's going to be up to Jake here with a recovered rifle at least. A recovered rifle. Sorry, I had to try my JD Vance impersonation. Now in the 1v3 with only 21 points of health left. Just, yeah, very, very little to work with. Chaotic is going to come calling. I'll see with Sacred.
And in addition to this, by the way, Plug have an opportunity to get 2 big ults online right now. All players are 1 away.
There's going to be a crosshair adjustment required by Jake, but he's ready for it. Jake here doesn't have to fight this at all. Jake knows it. He knows the cavalry was arriving. So that's 3 on the trot here for Trust in Plug. Putting together some crucial rounds. And YFP are still returning to having to answer the same question. What do we do about this A side of the map? Can we afford to give it up? Maybe if they had like a Viper in this comp, right? They don't have to, they can just like throw the wall up there and toggle it every now and then, maybe imply there might be some plays there and not have to actually fight Plug for it.
Yeah, it does allow for some of that safer play, or not necessarily safer, but it allows for some more dynamic mid-round play where you're not necessarily having to always go for a big utility re-clear. You can just find a timing to work off of that wall to get space that then Stellar as the IGL could use to try and play off later in the round. Call a pivot from C side back over to A when your Vipers inserted themselves. Something along those lines, but it's a little bit more straightforward of a fight without that Viper. And the util that Plug have is honestly quite good for fighting A. You know, the undercut does hit every single player that is going to be trying to come out of main. And it is so painful to be vulnerable up in those situations. Just a side note, that was a really good round from Gerwin, by the way. He finds the first kill to get the kill contract. I think they were in a 4v3 at that point, and why not use it to just get another kill when you know you're fighting someone with a stinger?
Especially when they're all in the B site, Wyatt. I'd much rather force someone to play long range against me in the Shadow Realm than have to try and clear the B site with, limited corner clearing util. Very reasonable in a situation like that. We've seen how many thrifties have happened between these two teams over this series. Now that YFP with some, decent weight of ultimates to back up a buy round here. Chaotic, though, has opted for the operator. Well, it worked out.
That is brutal. Now you don't have smokes, and you're going to be walking into the operator, potentially. Can't obscure the angles.
Fault line there, thrown down. That was obviously from YFP.
I mean, frankly, this round should be all but done unless someone on YFP comes up with a big individual moment.
Chaotic obviously can't do a ton if that sort of push on the C is smoked off, but now YFP... Plug thought they'd sort of conditioned pretty well without, having to pressure A very heavily. But YFP got no choice. They see an operator on one side of the map. They're bound to bounce towards the other extremity. And now they're going to see that there is a backstab. Or rather, all YFP able to hit A.
Oh, Hunter's Fury rattled off, but no one from Plug can really fight off this. Maybe Gerwin.
Gerwin can't do much at all. Chaotic, he could barely peek in towards the site. Now, this operator feels a little awkward. Thief playing in pit, standard location, able to deal with Teague, and they're down to 33.
30 seconds left.
This will be quite the round for YFP to steal back, considering how it started.
Spike planted.
Chaotic here, I could give me a rifle, for God's sake. Will they be relying on Sacred yet again to do the unthinkable?
Last player standing.
Thief with 4, and it's not going to be enough here. YFP get back in the game with a round that was pretty crucial to them. It's a round that's worth 2 for the side of YFP.
A crucial round, and one that, like I said, after Jake went down, could only be won by some player with individual heroics, and Thief does exactly that. He finds the kill on A site that then gives him the neural theft, so they get the additional information with the ultimate popped. This duel right here was everything.
Thief at 33 health, winning that out. Oh, I see. Fault line was, ineffective. 4 kills off the round. Here come YFP charging back into the game. Now, though, they have to deal with this defense set up for Trust in Plug that has them thrust very far forward. They will check it. And they're going to Rolling Thunder to try and unravel it with Penny's going to emerge from the Dimensional Drift amidst this and go to town on them. Jerwin absolutely sprayed smithereens behind the box. And Chaotic had no choice but to stand and fight. And in Trust and Plug, you think if they're maybe tracking a Rolling Thunder, they're a little bit more cautious about trying to roll out that same defensive strategy on A.
Spike
Like
planted.
the last one remaining and no option but to save. With the economy honestly in a position where this rifle means a lot going down the line.
Yeah,
this is actually important. This can get them a good buy on the, like a pretty solid buy in the next round actually. So Mike really does want to hang on to this.
Taking Jake here wouldn't hurt either. Money though good for YFP of course. Whoa, okay, that was almost bad. Mike though was able to recover. Now though, position known and noted. Physics sniffing him out. Here they come, the constabulary to try and deal with his solo Teo, rather the solo Cypher, excuse me. They do get Mike, that's the rifle gone. YFP carry 2 into the next round.
And for YFP, it is very important to rack up as many rounds on their own attack as possible, because at least from what we've seen of this comp played from T1, they've had some great defense sides for sure, but the halves that they have had where they really run away from, can run away with the half, you know, some of those have come on attack where they're getting, you know, like going 6-1 on the half to close out a game, something like that. Like it's easy to snowball with these agents that you have when you have the very proactive ultimates from the Rays and the ISO that are so good for executes. YFP, it's crucial that they have a good half here, and it looked like they weren't going to, frankly, until these last couple of rounds, until Thief came up with that 4K when they were in the 4v5.
2 rounds now in a row for YFP. Trust and Plug obviously have to turn around and go, right, do we have a decent B hit here? Can we just get up in those faces with these stingers, start to go to work? Your YFP, you're looking sort of very closely at what side is most likely to be stacked by your opponents if they're on that weaker buy. Here's how this went down. I mean, perfect. But they had the fault line with the Rolling Thunder, of course, just to punish this pretty deep overextension by the double duelist comp on defense. Just what the doctor ordered.
Flash out. I think they're trying to get out fast now. Actually, just a fake teleport to make those defenders unplug, think that someone could be back, Rebel, and by someone that would be Jake, but it's not the case. It's a more passive approach after making that initial sound.
Left the door open at least for perhaps a return to this side of the map later in the game, but a safe guess against Trust in Plug, we assume that there are 3 players today, which means that a site has likely been left open. And they picked the right one. Jake sticks the TP. He is in C. And Plug are going to be forced to do a full retake.
Full retake with some pretty tragic weaponry, and Thief on the late backstab still biding his time in B main. Penny gets the first into the round, making it all the more difficult for Plug, who already had an uphill battle.
Right, paranoia timing there towards Paul. Now this aftershock is going to make it even harder. Armageddon denying anybody from getting to the side, and Thief has all of the options splayed out before him. 2 players asking to get hammered. Make it 4. Beautifully done by Thief. Late backstab turns into a late lurk to close things out.
This is the capabilities of Thief really on display in terms of that individual skill. He's always had it. He's been hanging around the tier 2 scene for a few years at this point, but in terms of the firepower, really always has been at the top level in Challengers. That's why there were question marks in the past from when he was removed from the Moist Shopify roster as a starter, for instance. It's because of highlight reel moments like this that raised so many question marks last year in 2024. And then just now found success rejoining with a core of his friends that he plays with a lot.
But he's headed back to C here. Again, the site you assume is more lightly held. This time, though, German and Cole are going to try and anchor in here. Jake! Oh! The paranoia playoff is just beautiful. Oh, that's devastating for Trust in Plug. These TikTok TPs have been something else this series.
Plug are really getting exposed for how hard they're trying to force flooding back into these sites. And again, I respect them playing to that as a win con with this composition, not letting their foot off the gas. But at this point, YFP, they know how to play around it. That counter utility is lovely.
It's kind of insane what Jake getting away with at this level. Unravels a little bit, of course, but this is very much garbage time. Couple more weapons that would have liked to have been given up for YFP. They'll probably stay their hand for the time being, but you'll notice they're in a pretty good spot. Multiple of those rounds, one back-to-back. I think it's probably their third, fourth here. Third, if I'm not mistaken. It puts Trust and Plug again in a really desperate situation. It's going to be a jumbled mess of purchases for them in this next defense round.
With that additional kill, Chaotic is one away from getting the showstopper on defense. We've seen this Trust and Plug team be able to win eco rounds before. It was a crucial one on Haven, actually, that sort of propelled them into the lead late in the first half.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah, just not looking, but also, you know, completely obscured by that paranoia. The third player out, Teague, probably didn't even really hear the teleport from the range he was at previously when he was still back halls. That was a pretty sick play from the ex-Cloud9 VCT player.
Just playing with a lot of confidence with a lot of these sort of repositionings that we're seeing midway through the fight. That smoke here is probably not going to be enough to keep Jerwin off the site. No, he pushes it. He is not having it. Refuses to be a spectator, and yet another round that will fall. Not a lot of backup for him there as the players inside halls are closed off by this smoke. This is dirty from Thief. Oh, Chaotic's not ready for it. Oh, Showstopper goes by the wayside. Just tucking into the smoke, not seen by the Aldrin at all. Now 2 versus 2. Still no plant just yet. There's a lot of work to be done, and there's a question of with YFP, can they get out of the site? They can.
And they do just want to retreat after feeling the pressure from just the relentless desire to fight that the Plug players have.
Pump fake.
I mean, they've just cut noise. The Plug players can just stay together right now. They don't need to spread this far on the map. But of course, oh wait, actually, I didn't even notice Sacred actually does have the teleport, but he uses it for information. He's going to rotate back, so we're still into a 2v2 retake. I didn't notice that. It makes the play far safer.
They do have to give the site, whereas beforehand they were actually in there and had it cleared, right? Sacred, can he do it again? The 1v2 clutch to keep Plug's head above the surging tides. Fall line hits true. Sacred just has no choice but to go for this now. Paranoia will force Stellar away, but Physic was unaffected. The Betrayer back with a flash point. Stellar brings him down. YFP pretty effortlessly turning a 2v2 into 2 2v1s.
And that, again, does feel like the dependable Stellar at the end. Coming up with the very important kills in very chill fashion. Just goes for the spam line into Waterfall to get into the 2v1. Nice. Easy. The game is so simple.
Yeah. It's awful straightforward. Again, the money here for Trust and Plug is still weird. They've got to save down here. They've got to behave themselves to at least try and get themselves a 4th round.
I'll handle this.
Chaotic knows.
Plant a spike.
Okay, it's going to be cancelled. Not quite quick enough to capitalize there. Oh, that's dirty. Okay, Deep gets his and his Clever Cage thrown up here. Now, this is definitely going to get the Hornet's Nest buzzing over at B, but A's where the action is. Teague's going to have to be ready for this. Smoke's going to clear Jake. Mid-TP! Somebody trade it. It's Thief getting there. Spike loose, picked up, but still no plant. It's bouncing now over to B for YFP.
This is a great pivot in the mid-round from YFP. They get the tap on the spike. They want to see if anyone's going to be baited out into the swing. Doesn't happen. Mike biding his time.
I've seen enough, though. That's going to be a aftershock to deny any interruption of this plant. It's Mike and Jerwin alone. One from Link, one from Upper. The site that is anchored. Stella tucked in the corner quite happily. There'll be a fight taken against Mike as Steve finds yet another multi-kill round. And YFP looking like they did on Split.
Last round.
8 rounds here on this attack side already.
Yeah, they need as many as they can get. And again, YFP, they just place someone far away while the plant has gone down and Penny just picks up an easy kill on one of the players rotating back in. That little timing from Thief was great, playing off the dimensional drift to get the initial first blood too.
One enemy remaining.
And they had the mid-round pivot. That was just comprehensively a very solid round from YFP.
We've seen a couple back-to-back, honestly, wide that have looked that way. We haven't really seen Plug go for this aggressive play on A side now because they know there's this seed pressure.
Just the tap spam from Teague to shut down YFP's entry. Love that for them. Gonna make hitting a site much more difficult.
Mike's gonna feel pretty exposed after this though. Just the one player over at the C side, so he will be allowed to tuck back within that site. And so invariably, Old Faithful is the B side. Look, Joan only able to go 1 for 1, but there's a player to reinforce immediately an upper. Teague backs away, joined by Chaotic now as Plug are getting ready to encircle that site. Only 3 players up. I like this idea. Clear baby door and sneak back over towards halls.
This is a crazy rotation. They're going into the defender's spawn. They can hear the rotates. Are Plug going to be ready for this?
I mean, Teague's going to die to this timing. He's in Aldrome.
Trick shots.
You've got to take the kill, I think, if you can get it. Chaotic knows that there's no point challenging that at all, and there is no information. It is lights out right now for Plug. Doing a damn thing about where YFP are, but it's a spike going loose. And okay, talk about an illuminating exchange. Mike's going to be able to reveal the remaining player of YFP. That's Physic. He's just going to go for something here on the C side. Looks like all things told, a pretty respectable half of Lotus. Plug are able to get themselves 4 defense-sided rounds here, and now get to turn this double duelist comp on the attack.
Whatever YFP's plan there at the end was, it really dissolved as all 3 players had different intentions. No one could meet up. They were dismantled by Plug one by one. Cool attempt to go for the little spawn wrap, but they just didn't stick together. Team play wasn't there. Pretty cool when your round starts like that as well. Random tap spam.
Getting rid of the Yoru, who's definitely looking threatening. I like the idea of this rotation through. Then we sort of, saw YFP split their forces a little bit. But they had to take that kill on the solo. See what the plan is here. They leave Mikey back over towards spawn side, but they get sniffed out. Like the idea. Anyway, let's head to the second half, folks. It's going to be Plug on the attack side now, all grouped up, ready to push this A side.
Is like just jiggles, one shot, little bit of information. Penny can take a fight here, gets his, and teleports away just in time. It's YFP who can now play to that man advantage, set up a 5 versus 4 retake.
Okay, util as well. You can also probably make sure Pit is clear if you want to actually have some pressure on the site. Up to upper we go. Trust in Plug, trying to overload that part of the map. They're down to 2 though. End up losing it out, but Penny does take a ton of damage in the process. You've got a flashpoint here. You've got a lot of Omen util, or the paranoia at least. Do you use any to regain this upper control? Yes, Spotline, Teague, caught with util out. Able to stay alive by dropping down here, but now the net starts to tighten. Sacred, great strafing, dodging left and right, and Penny can't do it on his own. An unlikely round win here for Trust in Plug.
How the hell do they win that out? The movement from Teague somehow getting out of heaven, and then also must have gotten some pretty good shock dart damage onto Jake, who's gunned down by Sacred. I can't remember which player it was. Maybe Penny on YP was the other one that was already sitting at like 20 HP or so. It was those 2 that needed to capitalize off the fault line. Seller was just in position to give them that supporting util, and it wasn't enough. It set them up for a free kill, but they just couldn't connect.
Unfortunate timing there for Jake, I guess. Mid TP. YFP are happy to be aggressors here over towards the rubble side. Even though they don't have a double duelist, they have got a ton of util to flood and punish anyone for pushing out. Chaotic here.
Oh, great shot.
I guess that works out for them. They intended to get up on my site there, but instead they walk up waterfall. And obviously the weapons aren't here for YFP. This round feels, especially at this point, much more like a formality.
This is really where the comp for Plug gets dangerous on attack. When you start farming up the ult orbs, they put one on Chaotic. He got the one over at Mound. Then he finds 2 anti-eco freebie kills. Gets close to the showstopper. They throw him the SMG. He gives the Vandal elsewhere so he can just go hunting. This is how the comp can thrive. when you start getting those early rounds together, it can be so potent.
Yeah, we saw that same impressive quality to the double duelist setup on Haven. YFP just couldn't really get the resources when they were needed. Pulled and pushed all over the map, and again, that seaside on Haven was locked down pretty comfortably. Again, of course, this is going to be the kind of round where they aren't going to fight actively for rubble control. So Plug might have a free or an easier way, at least, into the A side.
And I just mentioned it then, but you do have to keep your eyes on Chaotic, who's one away from the showstopper. They're going to try to prioritize getting that into his hands. Use that as a way to convert this bonus round. The contingency, nice for making space towards A. This time it's just to insert Mike, it looks like. So maybe they could try to pivot back to him late, or he can be a backstab player if they go for the B execute. He could try to wrap Baby Door, something like that.
This is going to see that contact push. Okay. The drone gets a ping. This is a pretty respectful push up here for Trust in Plug. Door being open though. Jake capitalizing. That was through smoke, undoubtedly. And this delay is KO util. You see YFP don't quite know exactly how far onto the side Trust in Plug are at the moment. It's all speculative. Still getting the kills.
That is a round that falls incredibly flat. Plug in some pretty in meandering fashion insert themselves into the B site and slowly drip feed to their deaths. Unfortunate. And I don't think Mike is going to win this 1v4. It's going to be a little bit tough.
Cage triggered.
This keeps YFP ahead. Just when things were starting to look a little bit dicey, but hey, that's the bonus. Trust in Plug, it was looking a little bit haggard at that point anyway. I'm more interested in how Chaotic now can really clear the map with the showstopper.
This is the full buy here from Plug. Economy. Pretty bad. It's on the line.
Oh, this is a nice
In a crucial moment in the game. Where this one can be worth 2 for YFP. They'll be up to 11, commanding lead. Opportunity to lock in that position in the playoffs.
Okay, we have that rebel control. Once again, YFP not fighting for it. Stairs smoked off. But in the site is Penny with the option to get out after taking a first pick. Sticks around here. I'm going to be thrown out. German affected by it. Ends up shooting. Stella has fallen. Messy for Chaotic. They pulled the showstopper, if I'm not mistaken. That one's gone by the wayside. Still no plant. This is awkward now for Trust in Plug. They're exposed out in the open. Now being spotted as Penny gives them the soul read coming through with that dimensional drift. Teague and Sacred have to put it together, and at least they get the plant down, but Penny will emerge from this drift behind a flash and be ready to fight them.
Not ready yet.
He's on the site. Just happy to wait now for that smoke to dissipate for Jake to get in, and so he does. Sacred is going to have to do it yet again. He knows where the omen is. Jake does not have a paranoia to work with. Just a good old-fashioned gentleman's duel, a 1 versus 1 for the round. Sacred low, and Jake styling on him. 3 kills in the round, and YFP get to 10.
I do love how Jake played that intentions of being the closer for YFP by just patiently biding his time in the dark cover, waiting for the other 2 teammates he had to make more proactive sound so he could swing out off that. Does so, finds the first, wins the crucial duel, locks this up. You know, at least for Plug, they get the spike down. Their economy really needed that desperately, to be honest.
Yeah, they were struggling. Even now, things have been rough for them after winning the pistol.
Yeah, it's actually even rougher than I thought it was going to be. It is a tough buy right now. You get a couple sheriffs, but that's it.
I mean, again, they lose their bonus, which is, okay, not shocking. It's after that, really, not being able to get any traction when they, of course, go to a buy of their own. Hero rifle round here. Once again, I mean, YFP are letting them take rubble. Their strategy does not revolve around fighting for it aggressively, just encircling them once they get to the site, making use of these initiator util to retake. Penny here, killing inside the side of a cage, and he gets some advanced warning about the rays coming through. Stella's in pit. Dangerous spot to be. Thief also set up, and here comes YFP again. They just want to close the net. Mikey is dead.
In the meantime, every Plug player, they're just trying to make plays happen around the map. Nothing particularly synced up.
One enemy remaining.
And Jake's just gonna brawl.
Down A.
He doesn't care. He's here to make a bit of a fracas. Sacred flashed out. Jake gets his second of that round. It has been looking pretty dynamic on this map. On the attack side, these TPs out of nowhere. And on the defense side, really happy once he gets into the side itself to fight for it. Tooth and claw. And YFP now 11-6 in rounds. Trust and Plug finally, it feels like, a chance to buy up. But after such a anemic defense side, they're running out of rubber.
And it really felt, even though, listen, that was obviously an eco round, so you're more happy to maybe try and go for some sort of proactive play to get a kill. But still, it felt like Plug are now feeling the weight of the game, the situation that they're in right now, and they're trying to really make plays happen with desperation. YFP are remaining very composed.
Some moments from the match that was. So obviously this Trust in Plug attack side at times looked pretty good. They got off to a good start. Obviously a pistol that went pretty smoothly for them, but this 1v1, a lot was sort of hinging on this round, and Sacred, frankly, is being asked to do an awful lot this game. It's just such a difference in approach here for YFP. They want to play post-plant on A. They've got double initiator, excuse me. There's no need to fight for that rubble. There's no need to fight for Mound to push off these sites at all.
Yeah, they can just let Trust and Plug expend their own util to get that space and then absolutely bombard them on the retakes. All right, economy. Hanging in the balance here for Plug.
And you can mess with the conditioning. And if Plug choose not to expend that util and actually start contacting the map, then you also have a mode to switch to as YFP to punish that. We've seen plenty of outplay on this map, on the extremities at least.
Again, they just want to hit this A site so badly. They do pick up the Cypher.
All right, come on, German.
Oh, buddy! Not on round 18! Not at 11-6!
That really hurts. And Chaotic never stood a chance. Jake's been all over the scoreboard, or at least the right side of the kill feed of these last couple of rounds. We are at match point, folks. A best of 3 that feels like it could go the distance, but these maps themselves have not been close.
And it really does feel like Trust and Plug have ran out of steam at this point. Just slamming the A site. Listen, they do have the ultimates to do it, but unfortunately for them, and unfortunately for him, it just hasn't been Jerwin's day. It's been all about Thief. At least on Lotus. Dominant presence.
Oh my God, we're playing for Mounds now. Again, I talked about messing up the conditioning. Panda was fallen already. Trying to play pretty far out in the open, and there are Guardians here for this Trust in Plug team. So Jake, justifiably, doesn't want to face that onslaught on his own. Once again, though, Plug have been able to take plenty of the map early. But what they really want is for YFP to fight them for that control. They got what they wanted, but they killed. And a player advantage. Now, though, the objectives still need to be addressed. No, T.
He's just trying his best to
Sell it.
Yeah, keep some attention over there. Mike has been chilling over here on A. And he's got very good space for the team to potentially work off of. Going to pressure Baby Door.
That A site tripped harder than someone looking at cave paintings in Arizona. No one's getting in there. So the B side had to end up okay through the smoke. We take those. Fair enough. Joanne finds a timing on that one. And honestly, YFP are not in good post-plant positions. Making the way in from upper. Some Baby Door presence here for Thief. That one could be pivotal. Della might see a leg here. He does. He's able to win the fight out. Thief's got to be dangerous here now. It's getting a little bit messy. We're down to 3 for Trust in Plug. Thief sprays, finds another one. Here's the neural theft to give him the info and tries to challenge without anyone there to follow up for him. Tells over to win up a time. He's definitely of the essence. Sacred again. It's got a clutch at 8 health. Stella has not tried to half it and gives himself away now. He's unlikely to have enough time left. It's a beautiful swing from Sacred to keep Plug in this.
You have to walk away from this series being very impressed by Sacred, I will say that. He's top fragging another map for the team here on Lotus. after winning them so many crucial rounds to get them their map win on Haven. Really have been so impressed by this guy walking away from the game, win or lose.
See how it goes down here. Into the site, coming from those 3 different directions. They pushed into baby door, and this had a question.
How did Sacred kill Jake, by the way? You just see him jumping around with a classic 1 HP back towards halls, but anyway.
Look at this. I mean, this is pretty standard, right? You fall back behind a Cypher util, and then you strong arm one side of the map. That was C, Mound, overrun by YFP. So now they know exactly where they need to be looking at. The important play here is physics.
Drone going out.
See a cross back towards C early would be big, but he's not able to clear that space. They actually can't hold an angle there. So he has to go instead back over to C.
Bugger hoping that this noise cut will confuse YFP to the extent that, hey, maybe someone will rotate away from this A site where we would love to execute. But unfortunately for them, that's just not going to be the case. They're going to have to contend with multiple trips. Penny ready to fight. It's going to be difficult, except, oh wait, good pivot. They don't actually go for the execute there.
And
They're going to head over towards B.
If Physic isn't forced off watching that sort of B main area, he could be able to be here at the B side. Like, they would have been able to just eliminate that as a possibility. But he had to go and play at C and now has to deal with these trips. So it's going to be a really late wrap that's going to be telegraphed here to Trust in Plug. This is great setup for them. This game is far from over. Neural theft now, of course, as Jake was the first body to hit the floor in this round, uncharacteristically. They're not physically aren't quite at those big retake ultimates. They just don't have them. So YFP have to take a seat. Can still buy for the next round in fairness, but this one is not going to break their way.
I love how the two plug players there doubled up and played in that dark cover to punish Penny as well. Off the timing where the neural theft gets the reveal ping on him. They see, oh, he backed up. All right, into the smoke. He tries to swing back in and immediately shut down. Little things going their way in that round as Physic tries to save, which is going to be of some serious economic consequence, at least as far as YP getting the full buy for the next, with Stellar only being at 650. They're going to be able to get a full, so they'll be happy with that at least.
Okay. We've got at least a component here of our retake util to make use of. There might be a discussion here about if there is a fight for orb, who should take it? Because last round we saw YFP, they shoved onto Mount defensively, took that orb. Physic is obviously one away from the Armageddon. You've already got a Rolling Thunder. So the question is, are we trying to get Dimensional Drift online this round to secure the map? That's obviously what YFP are looking to do. Close this game out. They're still able to buy in this round, but after that, well, after that, it gets a little bit dicey for them.
Also have to say, coming out of this timeout for YFP, they're going to have to be weary of Sacred having his ult from the shadows, because very common on this map that when you have your Omen ult, you go for a big set piece where he teleports into the spawn behind you. Most of the time, you'll see that happening over towards C with the Omen going back halls. Occasionally, I've seen it towards A, but definitely more rare.
Moments, of course, from the map that we've seen so far. This one might promise to be a little bit closer. The showstopper can really be an unraveler, especially if Trust and Plug gets side control and then can use that to deny retake. There's a contingency.
Right.
Is it not?
They've Sacred trying to insert over towards A.
I want to get back as well from that drone. Just flicking the door open. So much is being implied here. With the contingency, Sacred TPing across, opening the door, confirming to YFP there's at least one player here. YFP do not know what is going on over on the A side of the map. They can only guess. In the meantime, oh, they were grouped up, but they get spotted out by this one Cypher Cam sees at least two players there, maybe more. So now, YP realized they kind of made the right call in terms of how they set up here. But it's not guaranteed Plug end here.
on the minimap, Sacred, I believe, just tapped the door again. He wants to keep trying to make his presence known because when the C hit comes in, he can just pop from the shadows, go over and meet up with the rest of the team. But it's not drawing any rotates. YFP are here and ready.
And he caught out. Chaotic's able to get onto the site now. That rolling thunder we've been waiting on has been popped. Can Thief get there, though? He got caught out of it by his own teammate, Stella. Catches Thief. Chaotic here is chilling. Now throws the bomb buddy out from the smoke, and Thief is at least able to find one, but it's up to Stella. All on this one guy. Plug win the most important round of the game. They stay alive, they survive a huge retake ultimate, and they keep 3 guns.
That was a beautiful showstopper entry from Chaotic as well, off the satchel in, cracks the site open. And I have to say that Plug have definitely never lacked in confidence in this series. They're really fighting together as a team. I mean, maybe you could say that just at the very beginning of Split, but even when they've been down, they haven't lost that. Even Jerwin, not having his best day, has still been getting really active. He's still playing like he's on point.
Then Armageddon, just in case YFP asked for a little too much.
I love this fast pivot into B. They're getting the site essentially for free. Great paranoia.
Okay, Thief does have a judge, though. Could be better positioned, though, to optimize its use, but he is here amongst it. Dimensional drift. This is going to start things off. Thief tries to just follow it up there and just dies. Again, has a judge, so that's the best he can do with it. Can Physic win this out? It feels unlikely, as Jerwin will complete the contract and trust in Plug. Looking like winning a round that might be worth 2 here, Wyatt. This is huge. It's on Jake. He deals at least with the judge player. And the second. But again, Trust and Plug will be forcing every round anyway.
And that's going to put YFP on a brutal eco. Should get Plug here to 11. Potential for the overtime is so real now. And we are seeing why this comp is so dangerous on the attack side. Once you get things moving properly, you can steamroll the defensive team. Entering into these sites, fighting together with a lot of confidence is just a recipe for success with this ISO raise look.
We've got some game to play, for sure. Stingers and Bulldog picked up here, YFP. I don't have either of those initiator ults anymore.
Oh, they're ready
they
to
end up having them
gamble.
in separate rounds.
Some noise towards A, but the entire team just shifted over here. They have a cam towards Mound as well, so that's making them feel more confident in being able to do this, but also eco round, they're ready to take risks.
Here they come. Okay, German's got good spacing though. Wants to fight this. Okay, double tap popped. Clone taken down as Physic, the first casualty, but German has fallen. Not able to get his in that situation. Some fevered fighting over towards Rubble, but the Stinger contingent eventually falters. Stella back on this side trying to buy a bit of time, but T gets ahead of that. Sacred. Oh, he's got a flick. Okay. The timing doesn't really work out there for Stella.
Here.
He does see a rifle that can be recovered. Bomb buddy, though, will potentially reveal again. Yep. Thing has to be blown up. Thief with no armor. Bear that in mind. Does at least have a Vandal to play with. Most of Trust in Plug. By that, I mean 2 out of 3 players grouped up towards Tree, and we'll look to take this space back up once that dark cover plumes. Thief has had an incredible game. 24 kills, I think, to his name or so. But this would be a reach even for a player of his caliber. Nothing to work with, of course. None of that util available to the double initiator comp here. There's just one lonely Cypher. And he will fall alone at the end of the round. 3 for Chaotic, and here we go. Trust in Plug are threatening an overtime.
I love there in the mid round that when YFP go for that flash play, Trust in Plug, they're happy to take a fight there. Like, really? Y'all want to fight us at Rubble right now? We have all the stingers. Jerwin's popped his shield. I bet. And they just farm all of them. Get 3 easy kills. Everything on the line now for overtime. YFP, if they win this round, they'll have locked up that spot in the playoffs. Plug, an opportunity here to stay alive.
And we saw this earlier. YFP, when they were trying to win the game, they did really push up for that mount control. Sometimes it's just a passive camera. Sometimes it looks a little more like this. The gate crash out for the Yoru. Penny returns to the safety of that C site. And elsewhere, at least, Mike's been activated at the start of this round. Probably a little bit similar to what we saw from Sacred, albeit without the ability to TP into the intended site. We can still toggle the door or punish someone for lingering out in the open.
Plugger taking this slow towards B. Tripwire. Triggered the removed. Stellar caught.
Even before the undercut came through, Jerwin has gotten so far ahead of this as well. Physic is going to be caught with Util in his head. Oh, of course he's never going to expect someone to be there. Physic's able to find one, but only one. It's Jake and Physic against 3. To try and avoid an overtime situation. And it won't be enough. Trust in Plug will take us to extra innings.
This comp on attack is just so deadly. Once things work as intended, look at that run of rounds from Trust in Plug. I love how they played so many of those post plants, that being a perfect example of it. Jerwin, maxed out confidence. They're fighting forward. They're taking the fight to YFP. In that moment, jumping up, catching this lovely timing to push through the dark cover. It's really excellent from them to run, like just rally all the way back. What were they down 9-3 at the half?
Yeah, it was dire. And they've, of course, turned this game around hugely. 8 rounds won in this half. 4 rounds. I think it was an 8-4
rather.
half.
Yeah.
Still, wasn't looking great for them, but they got what we would consider the bare minimum of rounds. YFP, of course, now on the attack side in this overtime. DP on the ball site, not upper. Okay, that's shield got to be popped for Jerwin, but he's able to take the kill. Only 1 for 1 though, which Jake again shows that trademark brand of bravado we've seen on this attack side for YFP. Fully controls that space. And now forces Teague to sort of re-clear it slowly, I'd imagine. Cybercage does give an audio cue that Mike has taken that upper spot. It's an easy pick-off.
Jake has really been a high-impact player for the team. What is that?
My. Ace? No, not to be. Sacred, the ultimate foil. There's a fair bit to work with. Well, yep, your salvos have just come back online. Your aftershock is there as well. And Sacred realizes I have to push for this. He's found 3. Physic does have the salvo, though. There's no reason why this should be a plug round. There we go. Sacred cleaned off, and that's what double initiator offers you, folks.
This game is so silly. I mean, yeah, you're right. There is no reason why that should be a plug round. It is a silly, silly children's game sometimes. I do really like from YFP there that they have that, second little mini layer of util to fight into Baby Door then together. That paranoia connects. Jake swings in second, finds the trade, and gets the flash, that flash player gunned down as well to get the 4 versus 3 advantage. It's really nice. And this is the difficulty, honestly, sometimes of closing out in OT when you have a comp like the one that Plug do, where they're finding more success on attack. It's like, how do we just squeeze out one defensive round win and then close the game out on attack? How do we do it?
That was such a key question. I mean, both sides. It's Lotus, folks. It's attack-sided already. Maybe even more so when you have this, this terrifying double duelist set up to work with. Stretch the defenders thin, hit the site that they're not at. We start to see YFP come up with a few ideas on defense, right? Ultimately, they don't have the ability to rely on those initiator ultimates to, get an easy site clear or site retake. They've got to think about how they use their util, and we'd expect them to probably give a lot of space on this map and play for that retake scenario. But they can also throw that util early, like they're looking to do here, and try and fight Plug. But this is just Mikey, and he's not going to go for anything.
YFP there set up for the full aggro, a rubble take on defense in response. Plug. They want to get into the C site. They know it's going to be far weaker, given how much presence was shown on A. And that's a free spike plant.
Paranoia set up here. There's a little set play for Plug as they're going to overwhelm whoever dares to try to go towards Waterfall. But all of YFP are set up in halls. This is a bit of a misread for Trust in Plug. That's a Paranoia. There's a swing, but passively, it was just Jake holding that line. That allows YFP now to consider coming in through halls. The cyber case, though, expires, and they're going to walk out into the firing line. Physic down. Jake's able to get his one, as he always seems to. That doesn't look like it's going to be enough for YFP. Yeah, Bolt has to be dealt with by Jake. They know he's at Waterfall. Getting spammed down through the masonry. It's on Stella. Nah, too much to ask. And we're going to run it back here, folks, for round 27. Neither team able to find success on defense.
Round after attack round for Plug, it really is that juncture in the post plant that they excel within, which is finding a time to re-aggress, push forward. You called out that paranoia play, which had anyone from YFP gone into Waterfall, we would have been able to really see it on display. But even then, they just pivot back, fight together at Halls, off of the undercut, both duelists posted up on the angle together. The proactivity is just so nice. But yeah, like you said, now we're back to who can win on defense. Can they do it?
Shoulder pick. Chaotic now under some serious pressure. Oh, the position is falling back to, also hit by the guided salvo. So a little bit scary. But ultimately, it's actually Stellar and Physic the ones that take some damage there. And that early aggression fizzles out.
Now on the minimap, you can see towards A, Thief is taking advantage of all of that noise on A by giving some space here, and Stellar breaks the drone before it actually spots him out. So will Plug be wise to the fact that a player from YFP could be pressed up as far as he is? Well, they certainly know now with the cage being thrown and popped.
The Plug know they have no A-side control. A little bit harder for them to play retake, especially because they've invested in a glass cannon operator this round, Wyatt.
Look at the minimap. That was even Mike being drawn over towards the B side. Jerwin catches Thief, who was on the lurk. That's lovely. 5 versus 4. There won't be a better opportunity than this to close out a defensive round.
But you can still fall back behind a fault line here. Ateo Util is going to come back online. Paranoia still in hand for Jake. There's so much to work with. You could also find back Halls. Physic caught though by Teague. Now down to 3. YFP no longer have the Teho Util to deny a defuse. Good little spray through the smoke there for Jake. It's good for 1. But it gets awkward. Chaotic has made his way out now. All of the players for Trust in Plug on the side. And Jake has to go massive. He came close. So close. But there's that one defense round that Trust in Plug had to squeeze out.
That might be all they need to get over the finish line. Finally on attack. I mean, what happened at the end there, by the way? Stellar was trying to put a ping down to the right, adjusted his crosshair. Very confused on whatever was going on there. And that was after there was a cool little YFP micro play towards Halls where they used the fault line and the concuss from their Teho to just stun up the entire little area back there. Right here. They had the fault line on the right side and then the concuss on the left. So whoever got out of the way of the fault line would be hit by the concuss. It was really cool, but just ultimately did not end up mattering. We've already had that man advantage.
Big round here for YFP. Knowing that Trust in Plug are on the precipice of taking away a series that, if you've seen the first map, you justifiably would have thought YFP had control of. I remember this is their qualification for playoffs on the line, getting to the golden 4 wins to secure that spot. It's going to take a bit more effort here, including a defense round win that both sides have had trouble getting over the course of this entire map itself.
Orb recovered, given to Chaotic, who's 2 away from the showstopper. And a round to win the game, stay in the playoff hunt.
Slow and steady here for Trust in Plug, covering every ingress point. Having every contingency covered. Good damage there into upper. Thief very low. Gonna have to be a flash to try and retake his space. Thief is dead. He has to one and done this. He does get rid of Jerwin. But there goes Physic. Chaotic here, drops back down. Found his 1 in fairness. And Thief is still alive after what we thought would be curtains for him. Penny with a swing, down. Sacred finding 2. This has got to be it. Stellar and Thief trying to make their way out from drop. Do they expect Thief to be there? Stellar right behind him falls, and Trust in Plug clean up the series with a ridiculous overtime with only 4 rounds in that first half. They come back to take Lotus, and it's BO3.
What an insane win with that run on attack. It was 6 round wins in a row to get the game into OT, and it just took them finally being able to get success on 1 round on defense to actually close it out. Massive credit has to be given to Sacred, who's the easy MVP of that series. standout on Haven, picked up really crucial clutch rounds for the team. Top frag there. Top frags again on Lotus. Even in that last round, finding that 1v1 kill on the Penny, but then immediate adjustment because he knows Jake is coming from the stairs was so sick. He really showed out today, where some of those other players you expect from Trust and Plug to be carrying the weight in terms of the fragging, they weren't today. And he stepped up for them to keep them in the playoff race. That was a really excellent showing.
Sick to see. I think Sacred ends that game with almost 30 kills in the end, getting obviously into that overtime. And now both these teams go to 3-3. That makes qualification for playoffs very interesting. We might be going all the way to the YFOs, but for now, we'll take a break. We'll consider those implications after that break, of course, as our desk looks back on the match that was.